Hello, this is Phoenix Amore. Welcome to the court aspect to my tarot classes. Now, when I speak about court, I'm speaking of people. As you can see, you have your king. That's what you see with those letters up top. I happen to use Sarah Marchetti's deck, and a lot of decks have king, queen, knight, and page written on the cards. These don't. They just have the letter. So as you can see there, you have your king of wands, you have your queen of wands, you have your knight of wands, you have your page of wands. Now, wands is basically the suit. Now, if you play cards, the thing that I want to address is just like with playing cards, you have your suits. That's how I want you to think about tarot, okay? Each element is basically a suit. So when I'm speaking of the suit of wands, I'm speaking of the suit of fire, the court of fire, the people of fire. So what that basically means is when you associate tarot with astrology, which is what it actually does. A lot of people don't know that. If you're very beginning, you don't really know all the aspects to that. So these actually associate with the elements of fire. And fire sign people are your Aries, your Leo, and your Sagittarius people. Now, if you know anything about astrology, you know fire signs are usually active. They're usually on the go. You just think of the element fire. It's blazing, trailblazers. You know, they're active. That's the thing you remember about each element. Wands being fire, wands being active. Now, the thing is when you're dealing with court cards, the progression is with age. So your king, as you can even see from that picture, is an older guy. So it'd be an older male fire sign, okay? Queen would be the older female fire sign. Knight would be, to me, I interpret it as like 15 to 25, kind of a younger guy, not quite up there in age yet, so he's still a knight, okay? And then the page is normally a child for me. Sometimes I do get a page as a younger woman as well, so it just depends on what you're reading on. So that's the thing you want to remember about the ages of these people here. So starting with this King of Wands. Now, as I said, with me using Sarah Marchetti, you can kind of get an idea of what this man is all about. He's about action. He's the kind of person that's going to get some stuff done. I mean, the King of Wands is active. If somebody's calling in for a love reading and you get a King of Wands, usually it is because it's fire sign. Sometimes it is because somebody's putting some action behind something. So what I want to stress with this is this. If somebody's calling, depending on the question, this is what's important about court cards that a lot of people don't stress in their classes. It depends on the question because it's not always fire that king is going to be. Sometimes it could be that Cancer who's decided to act more like a fire. Now, when I say Cancer is a water sign. So normally some Cancers aren't as active as, let's say, an Aries guy, or you may be. So let's say this woman is calling about a love relationship and she's like, hey, you know what? I haven't been hearing from my guy. You know, what is he planning on doing with this relationship? Now, he could be a Cancer, but if you get that King of Wands that comes up, you say, hey, you know what? He's about to put some kind of action behind this relationship. But again, it all depends on the cards that surround that. You can't assume that. I'm just saying to you, it's normally when somebody's in a more active mode. So it doesn't have to always associate with their astrological sign. And that's what people need to really remember about tarot. So let's say it is that water sign is decided to be more active. He's going to be that King of Wands. Now, the other thing to remember about a King of Wands is, guess what? He can burn out. Now, when you think about fire, you think about active, okay? Now, when you think about a fire burning, at some point, a fire can flame out. When a fire doesn't get enough oxygen, it flames out. So one thing to remember is the King of Wands reverse can be one of two things. It can be fire that's getting too much oxygen, so he's gone out of control. Now, what I mean by that is he's pissed off. Just to be point blank, I get a King of Wands reverse. I usually tell that woman he is angry about something. He may, you know, sometimes a King of Wands reverse is when a guy's so ticked off he may have actually destroyed something physically. Depends again on the question. Depends on the cards that you're getting around it. That is the key. The other thing about a King of Wands reverse is he may be getting too little oxygen. What I mean with too little is a fire starts to diminish when it doesn't get enough air. So this person is usually burnt out. They usually don't have energy. So if they're calling and they're like, hey, he's been quiet, and I get a King of Wands reverse, if he's not pissed off, I say he looks like he's just kind of burnt out. Maybe he's been going, and he's finally kind of just burnt out. That's the thing people don't always understand about fire signs. They go, 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 and then sometimes they hit their brick wall and they burn out. So that would be a King of Wands reverse. So moving on to the Queen, okay? Queen of Wands upright, just like her husband. Let's just call him her husband in this family. That's what we'll call it for now, just so we can kind of learn it on that capacity. She's that older woman now, likes being center of the stage. This is your performer card. You can see from her mask, you can see from that she probably likes to be the center of attention, okay? So this is your fire sign woman that is liking to be center of attention, okay? So if a guy calls about his girlfriend or his wife, however you want to say it, and she's the Queen of Wands, if she's not fire, then she is somebody who likes to be the center of attention. Now, I'm going to tell you one thing about a Queen of Wands. She doesn't like to share. So the one thing that you can tell that man when he calls, if you get a Queen of Wands, that's a woman that's like, no, sir, I am the only one. And that's it. So that's the one thing you got to remember about a Queen of Wands as well. Normally, Wands people are athletic. So that's the other thing to remember. So this Queen of Wands is probably still active. She's probably the soccer mom. That's their mom that's probably still out there kicking the ball with the kids, however you want to say it. A Queen of Wands is also, if she is a mother, she is that type that will kind of let her kids fall and learn through action. Think about fire. She's more that type that's like, I'd rather you learn it through you experiencing it. That would be her style. That's a Wands person style for you right there. Now, Queen of Wands reversed, similar to the King of Wands reversed. Queen of Wands reversed is that woman that's pissed off, cussing everybody out. She may have even slashed a few tires back in the day when she didn't know how to control herself. So that is a Queen of Wands reversed. She's mad. She's angry. She's going to normally show her anger through action. Think about fire. That's another thing. You have to keep thinking very practically when you think about these elements. It'll help you interpret cards. So she's usually that one. If she's mad, she's going to do something. Action. Same with the King. Sometimes that Queen of Wands is just burnt out. So sometimes her fire is just diminished and she's tired. Maybe she went to one too many soccer games and now she doesn't have the energy anymore. She like, look, don't even bother me. I'm not cooking. Leave me alone. That could be a Queen of Wands reverse. So if the man calls about it, his girlfriend, and he asks something about why she's been acting moody, you can say she tired as hell. That's the one thing about a Queen of Wands reverse. Now, let's move on to this Knight. Okay, now I'm going to really expand on the Knight a little bit because the Knight is one of those, I call it the wild cards in the courts, because one thing I want you to notice here is, what is this Knight on? He, in this particular deck, this fire sign is on that dragon, which makes sense when you think about fire breathing dragon. Knights are on the move. Okay, so when you think about a young fire sign, of course, you think about being on the move, but guess what? That can also be exactly what it's showing you in that tarot spread. Movement. When you think about fire on the dragon, it's fast movement. So Knights, you actually literally can get for some sort of movement, especially with the Knight of Wands. When I get the Knight of Wands, I tell somebody, this can be a travel card. This is somebody on the move, okay? They're moving around. They're going somewhere. Though it can represent a person, a knight. The other thing about this is I get this card here, the Knight of Wands, a lot for somebody who's venturing out into some sort of self-employment. Now, a lot of people don't interpret it that way. But the reason I do is it takes initiative. When you're trying to do something for the first time, you have to be that trailblazer. And wands are usually a little more fearless than the other suits in the tarot deck. So when you get that Knight of Wands, or somebody that said, hey, you know what, I'm going to get on that dragon. I'm about to move and shake. I got to get some things done. Yeah, I want to get my business rolling. Now, that's one aspect to that Knight of Wands, aside from it just being the 15 to 25. Now, one other thing that I want to point out about Knights, they can also be messages. Now, some people associate pages with messages. I do as well. But my Knights, when I get those more for messages or contact, it's a little bit more solid for me, a little bit more of substantial kind of contact. So that's the one thing to remember about a Knight as well. Now, the key is wands can be impulsive, just when you think about fire. So especially if you get a Knight of Wands, Uh, that's usually a very, very impulsive person, the trailblazer of the group. So this may be somebody that gets the project started but may not finish it. That's what you have to remember about wands. He may get that sucker started, but he may not be sticking around. So you got to remember that there. So that's the key to remember about a Knight of Wands as well. Now, here's the thing. My Knight of Wands reverse, yes, it can be a mad 15 to 25-year-old man. It can be delayed, just like I said, Knights being movement. It's reverse. It could be delayed movement. If you're asking a question about contact and you get a Knight of Wands reverse, it could be delayed contact, however you want to say it. But here's the kicker. My Knight of Wands reverse is Casanova. Okay? So if they call asking about the guy and if he's going to commit, and I get a Knight of Wands reverse, I'm like, good luck. You are not getting a Knight of Wands reverse to commit. He's enjoying himself. He is in bachelor mode. Probably got about 3 women. That's usually my Knight of Wands reverse. So if I get that, I'm like, ma'am, I hate to break it to you. You're probably not even the only woman in his life. And no, he's not committing anytime soon. So that's the thing to remember about a Knight of Wands reverse. If it represents the person, it could be halted progress. Okay, so it could be if this guy, same thing with the King or Queen, if he's burnt out and he's like, okay, I'm just not going to do it. That's the other thing to remember about that Knight. Now, pages kind of have a spin on them similar to the Knight, though it can be the child. Young, as you can see from the pictures in tarot are just important as the interpretations. So my Page of Wands, if it's a child, is that Aries, Leo, or Sag person. Normally that, you know, again, the athlete, however you want to say it, you probably will not find the Page of Wands child wanting to sit in that house. Okay, so that's the one thing you got to understand about wands. Since they're so active, they need to be on the move. So that Page of Wands is representing that child that likes to be extremely active. Pages also represent communication. You got to think of it kind of like ancient time. A page usually could, you know, bring messages just like that Knight. So that's the one thing about the page. Now, some do the, you know, mean it's like novice. I don't. Again, it's because the simple fact is we're in 2015 and all my interpretations are trying to modernize some of that stuff so you can actually apply it to your reading. So again, pages are normally some sort of contact. My Page of Wands is normally a phone call, okay, because phone calls are more active to me than anything. So if I get a page, I'm like, yeah, you're going to hear from him. Wands being quick, it's usually not going to take very long for that person to hear from whoever they're asking about. That's the key you want to remember. Now, with court cards, the thing that I do want to stress here, and by the way, you already know that Page of Wands reverse is that child in that corner kicking the wall in probably. So just remember that about that page just as well. But the other aspect that I wanted to speak about and then kind of wrap this up for you, when you start thinking about the elements, you also got to think about other aspects of things and whether or not the cards that you have surrounding it kind of trump that element. So it may be showing you that this person is normally the Queen of Wands, but you may get some other card next to it that's saying, you know, right now she's kind of just decided she's just going to kind of take a hiatus. Depends on the cards around it. The thing is, if you have, let's say, a king that's dating somebody way younger than himself, that person may come up as the page. So tarot has such a wide range that you can interpret. So if the Queen of Wands, let's say she's dating a younger fire sign, that guy may not come up as the king. He will come up as the Knight. So don't get confused if she asks about her boyfriend and you get a Knight. You may indeed be seeing the fact that he's younger or younger acting. So there's a lot of different spins on tarot. And as you start to read, you'll kind of more so understand how to apply based on the cards that you get around them. So I hope that kind of explains the court cards here as far as wands. Then we're going to move on. I think I'm going to go ahead and go on to the cup session. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you.